All right, today we sell your wife's useless car, then we'll just make her the maid. The sound of my husband's laughter, mingled with his lover's, echoed from the living room. They didn't know I could hear everything. I choked back a sob and silently began to form a plan. The clock read exactly 12 p.m. when the buyer arrived and Michael proudly opened the envelope of documents. His smile vanished instantly when he saw what was inside. The morning sun that streamed through the kitchen window blinds should have brought warmth, but for Amelia, this morning felt like an Arctic chill seeping into her bones. The wall clock showed 6 in the morning. In her hands, she held a tray bearing a pot of strong, black coffee and a loaf of freshly baked banana bread, still steaming. The sweet scent of banana and the rich aroma of coffee mingled in the air. These were the smells that usually brought a smile to Michael, her husband, as he woke up. But Amelia's steps faltered 6 feet from the living room door. Her plan for a surprise breakfast was shattered by the voices filtering through the thin wall that separated the rooms. It wasn't ordinary laughter. It was a cackle filled with glee, contempt, and triumph. "Our plan is perfect, Michael." That was Jessica's voice. The woman who had been staying in their house for 3 days, claiming her apartment had flooded. The woman Michael had introduced as a coworker in need of help. But her tone this morning was not that of someone needing help. "Are you sure Amelia won't suspect anything?" Michael's deep voice followed, along with the sound of a coffee cup being set down. Coffee that she hadn't made. Coffee she didn't know he was having while she was on her way to serve him. "Oh, Michael, my boy." This time it was the voice of Rose, Amelia's mother-in-law, dripping with disdain. "Your wife is dumb as a box of rocks. Look at her. 3 years you've been married. All she knows is how to bow her head, cook, do laundry, and clean. She doesn't know a thing about important documents." A moment of silence, then they all burst out laughing again. The laughter was like 1,000 tiny knives stabbing at Amelia's ears. "You got that right, Mom," Michael said, still chuckling. "She thinks I'm head over heels for her. The truth is, I just needed a free housekeeper while I waited to get full control of the inheritance from her father." "And here we are," Jessica said cheerfully. "So, let's do it. Today, we sell your wife's useless car. That Ford Explorer is worth a good amount, Michael. We can use the money for a down payment on our new house in that gated community. And as for Amelia, we'll just make her the maid here. The role of a servant suits her much better than being the lady of the house." "I agree," Rose chirped. "The buyer is coming this afternoon, right? Let's hope this goes smoothly. Once the car is sold and the money is in your account, Michael, we'll force her to sign over the deed to this house. If she refuses, I'll make her life a living hell until she can't take it anymore." Amelia felt her knees go weak. The tray in her hands began to tremble violently. "Make her the maid," the words echoed in her mind. So that's what it was. All her kindness was seen as stupidity. Her patience, a weakness. That Ford Explorer was a birthday gift from her late father. This house, also bought in cash by her father before he passed, was meant to be her home. Michael had walked into this house with nothing but a suitcase of clothes and a string of sweet promises that had turned to poison. Amelia took a deep breath, forcing back the tears that threatened to spill. No, she couldn't cry now. If she burst in there crying and screaming, they would know their plan was exposed. They would be on guard. And Amelia knew that fighting cunning people required not emotion, but a strategy far more cunning than theirs. She slowly backed away, back towards the kitchen, making no sound. She placed the tray on the marble countertop. She stared at her reflection in the dark glass of the kitchen window, a face that was usually bare of makeup, a face that was always smiling as she served her husband and mother-in-law. "All right," Amelia whispered to her own shadow. Her gaze hardened, turning cold and sharp. The look of the obedient wife was gone. "You want to play games? Fine, let's play. But you're not the directors anymore. I am." 5 minutes later, Amelia schooled her expression back into its usual form. A little tired, a little submissive, exactly the dumb wife they had just been describing. She picked up the tray again and walked toward the living room. This time, she deliberately made her footsteps heavy enough to be heard. "Good morning, Michael, Mom," Amelia greeted in a soft voice. The scene in the living room was disgusting to a pair of newly opened eyes. Michael was lounging on the main sofa, his feet propped up on the coffee table. Beside him, Jessica sat so close they were practically touching, her hand in a jar of Amelia's homemade cookies. Rose was in her rocking chair, looking Amelia up and down as if she were something scraped off the bottom of a shoe. An immediate silence fell. Michael quickly dropped his feet to the floor, looking slightly nervous. Jessica shifted away from him. "Well, look who decided to show up. Your husband has been hungry for an hour," Rose snapped, breaking the silence with feigned anger. "I'm sorry, Mom. We ran out of propane for the stove, so I had to change the tank," Amelia lied effortlessly. She placed the coffee and banana bread on the table. "You're so slow," Michael sneered, grabbing a slice of banana bread without a word of thanks. "Good thing Jessica was here to keep me company. Otherwise, I would have died of boredom waiting for you to cook." Amelia managed a small smile. "I'm sorry, Michael. By the way, would you like some coffee, Miss Jessica? I can make another pot." Jessica let out a small, saccharine laugh. "Oh, don't trouble yourself, Amelia. I had some tea earlier. Besides, I'm not used to this kind of drip coffee. I usually get my lattes from a proper coffee shop." It was a subtle insult. Amelia mentally filed it away. The coffee she called drip was a premium Arabica bean that cost a small fortune per bag. But of course, Jessica's palate, likely accustomed to instant coffee, wouldn't know the difference. "Amelia," Michael said, his voice suddenly shifting to the authoritative tone he used when he wanted money. "You're going to be home this afternoon, right?" "Yes, Michael." "Why?" "I never go anywhere," Amelia replied, pouring a glass of water for Rose. "Good. A friend of mine is coming over this afternoon. He wants to check the condition of our Explorer. The registration is about to expire, and he's a friend at the DMV who can help speed up the renewal process. Get the papers ready, okay?" The registration and the title. It was a blatant lie. Amelia had just renewed the registration online last month, but she put on a perfect mask of confusion. "Oh, is that so, Michael? That's great that you have a contact at the DMV. Okay, I'll get them. They're in the drawer on top of the wardrobe." Michael's eyes lit up. He exchanged a triumphant look with Rose and Jessica. They thought the fish had taken the bait. "All right, don't just stand there gawking. There's a mountain of laundry out back," Jessica ordered, as if she were the one in charge. "You should be ashamed of yourself," Rose commanded, waving her hand to dismiss Amelia like a fly. "Yes, Mom. I'll get right on it," Amelia said obediently. She turned around, and the moment her back was to them, the innocent smile vanished from her face, replaced by a clenched jaw. "Go ahead, laugh now," Amelia thought. "Enjoy your last slice of banana bread in this house. Because this afternoon, you'll all be eating your own karma." Amelia didn't go to the laundry room. She went into the storage room in the basement, near the garage. Michael rarely entered the basement. He claimed it was too dusty and made him sneeze. He was a fastidious man, afraid of getting dirty, a weakness that now worked in Amelia's favor. In a corner of the storage room, behind boxes of broken blenders and old fans, was a small wall safe. It was a legacy from her father. Only Amelia knew the combination. She quickly turned the dial. Click, the safe door swung open. Inside, neatly stacked, were all the documents that were the targets of her husband and mother-in-law's greed. The deed to the house, a luxurious 2-story home, the certificate of title and registration for the Ford Explorer, and several passbooks for time deposit accounts. Everything was in the name of Amelia Reyes. Amelia's father, a successful but cautious building contractor, had sensed something was off before he allowed his only daughter to marry Michael. Michael was too smooth, too charming, but his eyes always lingered on her father's Rolex, or the cars in the garage. Because of that, her father had insisted on a prenuptial agreement that kept their assets separate. Michael had signed it at the time, thinking Amelia's fortune wasn't that significant and certain he could persuade her to transfer the assets to his name over time. He had been gravely mistaken. Amelia took out the original title and registration. She stared at them. "Because of this car, you want to make me a maid?" she whispered bitterly. Amelia grabbed a large manila envelope, identical to the one where she usually kept the documents. She didn't leave it empty. Instead, she filled it with junk papers, photocopies of recipes, supermarket flyers from last week, and old utility bills. She made it the exact same thickness as the original documents. Then, on top of the pile of trash, Amelia placed a single sheet of paper. She took a red marker and wrote in large, bold letters, "Menu for your new maid." She smiled with grim satisfaction. She tucked the fake envelope under her shirt. The original documents, meanwhile, went into her old, worn-looking but sturdy handbag. Amelia knew Michael wouldn't check the contents of the envelope in front of her. He was too arrogant for that. He would take the envelope, present it to his friend the buyer, and open it there to show off. That was Michael's way. Perform first, think later. And that was the moment Amelia was waiting for. But this preparation wasn't enough. Amelia needed legal firepower to strike them all down at once. She pulled out her cell phone, the one with a slightly cracked screen. The phone Michael had bought her, a second-hand model from a friend, supposedly to save money. Meanwhile, Michael himself used the latest iPhone, purchased with Amelia's credit card. Amelia dialed a number she had saved under hardware store to avoid suspicion. The phone rang twice before a deep, authoritative voice answered. "Hello, Mrs. Amelia. You're calling early. How can Attorney Thompson help you?" It was Mr. Thompson, her late father's trusted lawyer and a distant uncle she considered family. "Mr. Thompson," Amelia's voice trembled, not with sadness, but with adrenaline. "Are you free at 12 p.m. today? I need you to come to the house. And if possible, please bring 2 security guards from your office." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. Mr. Thompson's tone immediately turned serious, his legal instincts kicking in. "What's happened, Amelia? Has Michael done something foolish again?" "More than foolish, attorney. Michael, his mother, and his lover are planning to sell the Explorer. Papa left me this afternoon. They think I don't know. They're also planning to either kick me out or turn me into a maid after they transfer the house into his name." "The nerve!" Mr. Thompson's voice rose. "Those ungrateful people. Your father picked him up from nothing, gave him capital for a business that went nowhere, and now he wants to bite the hand that fed him. That's why I need you, attorney. I've secured the original documents. This afternoon, Michael will be conducting the transaction with the buyer in the living room. I want you to arrive at that exact moment. Let's catch them in the act." "I understand your plan," Mr. Thompson said, his voice angry but controlled. "Amelia, don't you worry. I'll prepare the paperwork for an asset freeze and a demand letter. By the way, how is your joint account?" "That's my next step, attorney. I'm transferring everything to my personal account using my banking app right now. I've put up with him nickel and diming the household budget for too long, but I won't let them drain everything. Do it immediately. Leave a very small amount, so they don't get suspicious if they check the balance at an ATM, but empty out that time deposit." "I will, attorney. Thank you. I'll see you later. Don't bother knocking. Just come in. I won't lock the gate. I'll make sure it's slightly ajar." "All right. Hold on for just 4 more hours. We're going to teach them a lesson they'll never forget." The call ended. Amelia took a deep breath. She immediately opened the banking app on her phone. Her fingers flew across the screen. Transfer to Amelia's personal account. Amount, $50,000. The entire contents of the recently matured time deposit. Transaction successful. Now, for the main joint account, the one where Rose held the debit card, all that remained was loose change, about $60. Enough for gas, but not nearly enough to flee the state. Amelia felt a weight lift from her chest. She was no longer a victim. She was now the hunter, waiting for her prey to walk into the trap. With light steps, she left the basement, ready to resume her role as the dumb, obedient wife. 11 in the morning. The sun was high and the day was beginning to heat up, as hot as the rage simmering inside Amelia as she pretended to be busy mopping the living room floor. Meanwhile, Michael and Jessica were sprawled on the sofa, watching Netflix. Michael's foot nearly hit Amelia's head as she mopped under the coffee table. "Hey, be careful with that mop. You'll get the carpet wet," Michael barked, not looking away from the TV screen. "Yes, Michael. I'm sorry," Amelia answered meekly. Suddenly, Michael's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and a wide grin spread across his face. He gestured to Jessica and Rose, who was eating chips and salsa at the dining table. "He's almost here," Michael whispered to Jessica, but loud enough for Amelia to hear. Michael cleared his throat, his voice becoming sickeningly sweet. My dear Amelia. Amelia straightened her aching back, wiping the sweat from her brow with the back of her hand. Yes, Michael? Where are those documents I asked for this morning? My friend is about to arrive. It would be embarrassing to keep him waiting. He's a very busy man. Amelia nodded slowly. Oh, right. Just a moment, Michael. I'll go get them from the bedroom. Amelia went into the bedroom. She retrieved the manila envelope full of garbage that she had prepared that morning from her wardrobe. Her heart was pounding. This was the critical moment. If Michael opened the envelope now, the chaos would start before the time was right. Amelia came out of the bedroom, clutching the envelope to her chest as if it were the most precious thing in the world, something she was reluctant to let go. This bit of acting was crucial to satisfying Michael's ego. Here you go, Michael, Amelia said, handing him the envelope with a deliberately trembling hand. But, is this really just for the registration renewal, Michael? Because this was Dad's favorite car for me. Michael snatched the envelope from her. Yes. Why are you so nosy? Don't you trust your husband? I'm the head of this family. I know what's best for our assets. Our assets, Amelia laughed derisively in her mind. Since when did it become our assets? Rose, seeing the thick envelope change hands, smiled so wide her gold tooth was visible. There, that's how it should be, Amelia. A wife should be obedient. If your husband wants to grow your wealth, you should support him. Don't be so suspicious. Yes, Mom, Amelia replied, her head bowed. Michael weighed the envelope in his hand, feeling its thickness. Good, it's thick. Is this the original title and registration? You didn't grab the photocopies, did you? Amelia looked Michael straight in the eye, giving him the most innocent look she could muster. They're the originals, Michael. I got them from that safe you don't know the combination to. I mean, from the wardrobe. Amelia pretended to slip up. Michael laughed contemptuously. Ha, that old safe. We'll get that open one of these days. Now, go to the kitchen, cook a big meal. After we're done here, we're going to celebrate. My friend is eating here too. What should I cook, Michael? Anything, as long as it's delicious. Steak, maybe? Or a roast chicken. Not that tuna casserole again. It's getting old, Jessica said, as if she owned the place. Of course, Miss Jessica, Amelia replied. As Amelia turned to walk to the kitchen, she heard Michael whisper to Jessica, See how easy that was? She just handed it over. So stupid. You're amazing, babe. I can't wait to get my hands on that money, Jessica cooed back. Amelia slowly closed the kitchen door, leaning her back against it. She glanced at the wall clock. 11:30 a.m., 30 more minutes. Mr. Thompson was on his way. The car buyer was on his way. And Michael's downfall was on its way. Amelia didn't start cooking steak or roast chicken as instructed. Instead, she got a glass of ice-cold water from the fridge, sat down comfortably at the kitchen table, and began to wait. She didn't need to cook a celebratory meal for a victory that was never going to happen. What was going to happen was the greatest show of Amelia's life, and she had a front-row seat. At exactly 12 p.m., a loud, obnoxious car horn blared from outside the gate. It was a long, repetitive sound, indicative of its owner's impatient character. Michael, who had been restlessly pacing by the window, jumped with joy. His tense face suddenly lit up. He's here! Ron's here! He shouted. He turned to Jessica and Rose. Put on your best faces. This is big money. Jessica fluffed her blonde hair, quickly checking her reflection in a wall mirror before clinging seductively to Michael's arm. All right, boss. Once we get the cash, let's book those vacation tickets right away. Yeah, of course. Amelia! Michael yelled towards the kitchen. Amelia emerged, feigning haste. She was still wearing her old, worn-out sweats, an outfit she had chosen deliberately, the perfect costume for the role she was playing. Yes, Michael? Open the gate. Hurry up. This is an important guest, Michael commanded. Amelia nodded and half ran to the front. As she swung open the heavy iron gate, a black, beat-up sedan with dark, tinted windows pulled into the driveway. The driver's door opened and Ron, a heavy-set man in a polo shirt stretched taut over his belly, got out with a smirk. He wore a thick, fake gold chain and a wooden bead bracelet. His entire appearance screamed used car salesman. "Whoa, Michael, my man. How's it going?" Ron greeted Michael with a loud high five. "Doing great, Ron. Just great. Come on in. Come in. Take a look at the ride first." Michael pointed to the white Ford Explorer parked neatly in the garage. Amelia had been forced to wash and wax it that morning, and its body gleamed under the sun. Ron let out a long whistle. He circled the car, patting the hood and lightly kicking the tires. His eyes were like a wolf's that had just spotted a fattened sheep. "Damn, this thing is clean, Michael. You barely use it?" Ron asked, stroking the side mirror. "Hardly ever. My wife just uses it to go to the grocery store. And even that's rare. She usually walks, so the mileage is super low. This is a special one," Michael boasted. He failed to mention that Amelia often used the car to deliver food to a local homeless shelter every Friday, an activity Michael knew nothing about. All right. Not bad," Ron nodded. Then his eyes fell on Amelia, who was standing near the garage door, waiting for her next order. Ron nudged Michael's arm, laughing lewdly. "Is that your new maid, Michael? Not bad. A bit young, but looks tired. Seems obedient." Amelia's blood boiled, but her face remained a blank mask. Michael let out a loud, contemptuous laugh. "Hey, what are you talking about? That's my wife, Amelia." Ron's eyes widened, and he laughed even harder, as if it were the funniest joke in the world. "You serious? I thought she was the help. Man, sorry, she just doesn't look the part, unlike this one." Ron gestured to Jessica, who was standing proudly beside Michael. "Now he pointed at Jessica. "She looks like she should be the lady of your house, Michael. But the other one. Ha, no wonder you're selling the car. Need the capital to trade up the wife, huh?" Jessica preened, pleased with the compliment. "Oh, Ronnie, you're such a flatterer. Michael often tells me how much he regrets his choice. He's just trying to correct his mistake now." "That's enough of that," Rose cut in, emerging from the house, fanning herself with a $20 bill. "Don't talk about it out here. The neighbors might hear. Come on, Ron, let's talk inside. It's too hot out here. Amelia, make some cold juice, and make it sweet, not bland like that dinner you made yesterday." "Yes, Mom," Amelia replied. They all trooped into the living room, Amelia following behind. She watched as Michael ushered Ron to the soft leather sofa, the very sofa Amelia had bought with her first ever bonus check. Ron sat down, propped his feet up, lit a cigarette without asking, and tapped the ash onto the floor, even though there was an ashtray on the table. "So, what's the deal, Ron? Like we talked about on the phone yesterday, right? $30,000 cash today?" Michael asked, anxious to get the money before Amelia or her family could get suspicious. Ron blew a cloud of smoke that filled the air-conditioned room. "Hey, slow down. Let's see the papers first. Title, registration, invoice, spare key. If everything's complete, the money's instant. I've got it right here in this bag." Ron patted a leather sling bag that looked stuffed. "Don't you worry, it's all here." "I had it prepared," Michael said with complete confidence. He glanced at Amelia, who had just arrived with a tray of 5 glasses of bright red juice. "Put that down, Amelia, then get out of here. Go sweep or something. Don't listen in on men's business." Amelia slowly set the glasses down. She could see the beads of greedy sweat on Michael's forehead. Her husband's hands were trembling, not from fear, but from sheer excitement. "Here are the documents." Michael picked up the thick manila envelope Amelia had given him earlier. The envelope sat on the coffee table, right in front of Ron. Amelia slowly retreated to a corner of the room. She picked up a broom and pretended to dust a corner of a display cabinet, but her eyes were sharply observing every move. Michael's downfall was about to begin. The atmosphere in the living room was thick with tension, though for different reasons. Michael, Jessica, and Rose were tense with the anticipation of thousands of dollars. Ron was tense, wanting to secure a cheap car he could flip for a higher price. And Amelia? She was tense from holding back the laughter that was about to erupt. "Okay, let's see it," Ron said. He stubbed out his cigarette in the ashtray and then reached for the manila envelope. "Wow, this is thick. Looks like you even included the service manual." "Of course, Ron. It's all there. My wife's the one who kept it. When it comes to storing things, she's very organized, even if she's a bit slow in the head." Michael insulted Amelia again, just to spice up the conversation. Jessica chuckled lightly as she sipped her juice. Ron opened the clasp on the envelope slowly, dramatically. The sound of rustling paper was sharp in the quiet room. Michael puffed out his chest, ready to receive praise for the completeness of his documents. Ron pulled out the contents of the envelope all at once. His brow furrowed. What came out was not the blue and white certificate of title he was expecting, nor was it a vehicle registration or sales invoice. The first paper in Ron's hand was a plain white sheet with red marker written on it. Ron squinted to read it. Menu. For your new maid. Ron read the words aloud, confused. He looked up at Michael. What's this mean, Michael? Some kind of secret code? Michael's face went from arrogant to utterly bewildered in a split second. Huh? What's that? You must have grabbed the wrong thing. Check underneath. Ron tossed the paper onto the table. He picked up the next sheet. Recipe for Bicol Express. He read it aloud again, his voice now laced with irritation. Michael, are you selling a car or opening a restaurant? What is this? Michael panicked. He snatched the pile of papers from Ron's hands. His own hands trembled as he flipped through the subsequent pages. A blurry photocopy of an ID. A discount flyer for Walmart from last month. A paid electricity bill. An empty spice packet. A torn newspaper. No title. No registration. Not a single important document. Silence. A deafening silence, punctuated only by the ticking of the wall clock. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. Michael's face went pale, then a deep, blotchy red. The veins in his neck bulged. He felt utterly humiliated in front of Ron, in front of Jessica, and in front of his own mother. This is garbage. All of it, Michael roared, his voice cracking with rage. He threw the papers into the air, and they scattered across the living room floor, a confetti of trash raining down on the expensive carpet. Jessica gasped, nearly dropping her juice glass. Michael, why is it full of garbage? You said you checked it. I only checked the outside. It was thick, so I thought it was the right stuff. Michael defended himself, panicked. He spun around, his eyes locking furiously on the corner of the room where Amelia stood, holding a broom. Amelia! The shout was so loud it felt like the windows might shatter. Amelia, in an Oscar-winning performance, widened her eyes. She covered her mouth as if in total shock. My goodness, Michael, why did you throw the papers? Those were the recipes I was going to try for dinner tonight. Ron stood up, looking disgusted. Michael, are you playing games with me? I drove all the way out here. I brought the cash. And you're pulling a practical joke? I'm a busy man, boss. I don't have time for this nonsense. Wait, Ron! Damn it, just wait! It's just a technical problem. Michael grabbed Ron's arm, then turned a murderous gaze on Amelia. He strode quickly toward his wife. You, Michael hissed, jabbing his finger right in front of Amelia's nose. Where are the original title and registration? Don't you dare play dumb with me. Amelia backed away until her back hit the display cabinet. She clutched the broom handle like a shield. Michael, why are you so angry? Amelia's voice trembled as if she were about to cry. You told me to get the documents from the drawer upstairs. I just got what was in the drawer. That's really what was in there, Michael. Recipes and grocery lists. Liar! Michael screamed. He raised his hand as if to strike her, causing Amelia to flinch a fake reaction. But he stopped himself, remembering he had a guest. I kept the documents in the vault. You must know the combination, don't you? You must have swapped the contents. Rose joined the fray, her elderly face red with rage. She rushed towards Amelia. You animal! Did you do this on purpose to humiliate your husband? Hey, listen to me. This house, this car, they're your husband's right. You're just living here. Now tell us where the documents are, or I'll slap you myself. I swear, Mom, I don't know, Amelia cried, tearlessly. Michael never told me the combination to the vault. He said it was a man's secret. I only got what he told me to get. Jessica, seeing her payday flying away, fanned the flames. Michael, she's obviously lying. Look at her face. So innocent. She's definitely hidden them somewhere. Search her room, drag her to the basement and make her confess. Right, Michael yelled. Ronnie, just a second. I'm going to make this woman talk. Ron snorted. You've got 5 minutes. If those documents don't appear, I'm leaving, and don't ever expect to do business with me again, Michael. You're not a professional. You can't even handle your own wife. How could you possibly handle a business? Ron's words struck Michael's ego harder than any physical slap could. His masculinity was shattered. He felt small, and the easiest way for a small man to feel big is to crush a woman. He grabbed Amelia's arm, his grip viciously tight. His nails dug into her flesh. "Ow, Michael," Amelia cried out. This time the pain was real. "It hurts? My heart hurts more from your deceit." Michael dragged Amelia to the center of the room, amidst the scattered recipe papers. "Now, confess. Where are the title and registration for the Explorer? Where's the deed to the house? I know you took them all. Confess, or I'll report you to the police for stealing your husband's property." Amelia winced from the pain in her arm, but inwardly, she was smiling coldly. "Report me to the police? Go ahead, Michael. The cops will have a good laugh when they find out who the real owner is." "Michael, let me go. You're hurting me." "Not until you answer." "You ungrateful child," Rose screamed, now pinching Amelia's side. "We took you in, fed you, and this is how you repay us? Who do you think you are? You're just a pest in my son's life." The situation escalated. Michael raised his hand again, ready to deliver a hard slap. Ron just watched, lighting another cigarette, completely detached. Jessica was smiling with sadistic pleasure at Amelia's torment. Just as Michael's hand was about to descend, ding-dong, the doorbell rang again. This time, the sound was polite, rhythmic, but firm. Michael's hand froze in midair, inches from Amelia's cheek. He was breathing heavily. He glanced, startled, at the front door, which was slightly ajar. "Who the hell is that now?" Michael snarled, interrupting a man when he's angry. "I'll get it," Rose said, still panting with rage. She stomped to the door. "Who is it? Don't they know people are busy?" Rose flung the door wide open and instantly froze, her mouth agape. The curses she was about to spit out died in her throat. Standing on the doorstep were 3 men. The one in front was a man in his mid-50s, impeccably dressed and radiating authority. He wore an expensive dark gray suit, a silk blue tie, and leather shoes polished to a shine brighter than Michael's future. He held a leather briefcase and an eagle-headed cane that gave him an aristocratic air. Behind him stood 2 tall, broad-shouldered young men in black shirts that showed off their biceps. Their faces were expressionless, their eyes sharp, scanning the room like radar. It was Mr. Thompson, a senior partner at one of the most prestigious law firms in the city. Who are you?" Rose stammered, her bravado vanishing in the face of their imposing presence. Mr. Thompson offered a slight smile, polite but icy. "Good afternoon, ma'am. I apologize for the interruption. I'm looking for Mrs. Amelia Reyes. Is she here, Mr.?" Thompson's voice was calm, but loud enough to carry into the living room. Michael, who was still holding Amelia's arm, went rigid. He let go as if he'd been electrocuted. He recognized that face. He'd seen it once, at Amelia's father's funeral 3 years ago. But he hadn't paid much attention then, too busy trying to calculate the inheritance. "That's Mr. Thompson," Michael whispered. Amelia, now free, straightened her worn-out sweatshirt. She didn't run, she didn't hide, she stood tall. "Please come in, attorney," Michael called from inside, trying to sound polite, but his voice cracked with nervousness. He quickly whispered to Jessica and Ron. "Put out your cigarette, Ron. That's a high-powered lawyer. Charges a fortune. I have no idea why he's here." Mr. Thompson entered, striding past the still-stunned Rose. His 2 guards followed. Their steps were so firm and synchronized it felt like the floor of the house was vibrating. When Mr. Thompson entered the living room, the contrast was stark. On one side, there was Ron, the car salesman with his shirt unbuttoned and trailing cigarette smoke, Jessica, the mistress in a dress that was too short, and Michael, sweating profusely. On the other side was the elegant Mr. Thompson and his 2 giant guards. Ron, with his street smarts, immediately sensed danger. He quickly extinguished his cigarette. "Whoa, we got a big shot here," he muttered to Michael. "Good afternoon, Mr. Michael," Mr. Thompson greeted. He didn't offer a handshake, just a slight nod. His gaze swept over the papers scattered on the floor. He raised an eyebrow. "It seems I've arrived in the middle of a disturbance." Ah, yes, attorney. I apologize. Just a small family matter. My wife can be a bit disorganized. Michael tried to laugh, but it came out as a choke. What can we do for you, Mr. Thompson? Did my father-in-law leave behind another part of his will? Michael's hopes surged again. Maybe there was more inheritance. Mr. Thompson didn't answer Michael. He turned to Amelia, and his expression softened. Good afternoon, Amelia. I apologize, my dear. I'm 5 minutes late. Traffic on the freeway was terrible, Mr. Thompson said in a fatherly tone. Everyone in the room fell silent. My dear? Since when was a top lawyer on such familiar terms with Amelia? Amelia took a deep breath. This was it. She walked forward, past Michael, past Jessica, past the scattered papers on the floor. Her posture was no longer stooped. Her steps were firm. It's all right, Mr. Thompson. You've arrived at the perfect time, Amelia answered. Her voice was different. The trembling fear was gone. The pleading tone was gone. Her voice was clear, steady, and authoritative. Amelia extended her hand. Mr. Thompson took it and lightly brushed his lips against the back of it, a gesture of respect from a lawyer to his primary client. Michael, Rose, and Jessica gaped, their jaws practically on the floor. The atmosphere had become tense for Michael's side. Please, have a seat, Mr. Thompson, Amelia said, gesturing to a single armchair, the cleanest one in the room, the only one not occupied by Michael's group. Mr. Thompson sat calmly, placing his briefcase on his lap. His 2 guards stood on either side of the armchair, arms crossed, their sharp gazes fixed on Ron, who was now squirming and desperate to leave. Amelia, what is the meaning of this? Michael said, trying to regain control, though his voice trembled. Why did you call a lawyer here? We don't have the money to pay him. Amelia turned slowly to face Michael. She looked her husband in the eye. For the first time in their 3-year marriage, Michael saw something new in his wife's eyes. Nothing. No love, no fear, no respect, just a cold, detached look, as if she were staring at a stranger. Amelia didn't answer Michael. Instead, she turned to Mr. Thompson. Attorney, are the papers I requested ready? Yes, Amelia. All in order, Mr. Thompson replied. He opened his leather briefcase. The sound of the locks clicking echoed in the silent room. Mr. Thompson pulled out a thick red folder. Wait a minute, Jessica interjected, sensing her position was threatened but being too foolish to stay quiet. What's going on here, Amelia? Are you trying to get a divorce? If you want a divorce, just do it. You don't need to bring a lawyer. Besides, Michael isn't happy with you anymore anyway. Mr. Thompson turned his gaze to Jessica. It was as sharp as a razor. And who might you be? Are you listed in the family records of this household? Jessica stammered. I'm a coworker of Michael's. Ah, a coworker, Mr. Thompson smiled sardonically. A coworker who stays over for 3 days. A coworker who plots to sell another person's property. What a fascinating job description you have these days. Jessica went pale. How did he know? Don't you make accusations, Rose chimed in, pointing a wrinkled finger at Mr. Thompson. This is our family business. Don't you interfere. You're an outsider. Amelia, tell him to leave, or I'll curse you as a disobedient child. Amelia laughed. A soft but chilling laugh. Not a hysterical laugh, but a dry, emotionless chuckle. Amelia walked to the coffee table where she'd set down the juice glasses. She picked up her own glass. Then, she perched comfortably on the arm of the sofa where Mr. Thompson was sitting, a position that screamed that she was in charge. You want to curse me, Mom? Amelia asked, swirling the glass in her hand. Go ahead, but before you do, you should probably know something. Amelia took a small sip of juice, then looked at the 3 of them in turn. Michael, Rose, Jessica, the faces that had been laughing at her this morning, the faces that had been plotting her downfall. This house, Amelia pointed to the ceiling, is in my name. The Explorer you wanted to sell, Amelia pointed toward the garage, is in my name. And the savings account you've been using for your luxuries, the source of its funds, is my father's inheritance. Michael's eyes widened. But we're married. What's yours is mine. Incorrect, Mr. Thompson stated firmly. He opened the red folder and produced a sealed document. This is a copy of the prenuptial agreement that Mr. Michael signed 3 years ago. Article 4, Section 1. All assets acquired before the marriage, including inheritance, donations, and any assets derived from them, are the sole property of the first party, Amelia Reyes, and shall not be considered marital property. Michael's knees felt weak. He remembered signing that paper, but he had been in a hurry to marry Amelia and assumed it was just a formality that could be challenged later. Furthermore, Mr. Thompson added, pulling out a second document, this is confirmation of an asset freeze. As of 10 a.m. this morning, that Ford Explorer has been flagged in the DMV system as being under an attempted fraud investigation. Therefore, Mr. Ron, Mr. Thompson turned to the car dealer. If you were to purchase that vehicle now, you could be charged under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations, RICO, Act for trafficking in stolen goods. The penalty is substantial prison time. Ron shot up from the sofa as if he'd sat on a nail, a look of pure panic on his face. Whoa, hey, sorry, boss. I'm not part of this. Ron grabbed his bag. I'm out of here, Michael. You're crazy. Trying to drag me down with you. You're on your own. Without another word, Ron ran out of the house, bumping into the gate in his haste. He started his beat-up car and sped away. They were left alone. Michael, Rose, and Jessica stood like defendants before a judge. Amelia set her glass down on the table with a loud clink. She stood up. She untied the old, stained apron that was still around her waist and threw it in Michael's face. The dirty fabric momentarily covered her husband's face. Didn't you say this morning that you wanted a maid for this house, Michael? Amelia asked in an icy voice. Michael tore the apron from his face, his eyes red with a mixture of rage and unshed tears. Starting from this moment, Amelia continued, her eyes shining with victory. That's your job. You, your mother, and this shameless homewrecker of yours. Welcome to the hell of your own making. The dirty apron slowly slid from Michael's face and landed on the floor with a soft thud, but it sounded like the bang of a gavel in the silent room. Michael's face was a deep, furious crimson, a mixture of soul-crushing humiliation and incandescent rage. In his eyes, Amelia was no longer the wife he could walk all over, but a monster awakened from a long slumber. You shameless, Michael growled, his voice hoarse and cracking with uncontrolled emotion. How dare you throw a dirty rag in your husband's face? Where is your respect? Huh? What kind of wife are you? Michael took a step forward, his fists clenched, ready to use violence to reclaim his dominance. For him, force was the only way to quell a rebellion. But before he could swing, the two imposing men who had been standing silently behind Mr. Thompson moved with lightning speed. One of the guards caught Michael's wrist in midair with an iron grip. Michael winced in pain, feeling as if his bones were about to be crushed. Let me go! This is my house. I have the right to discipline my wife, Michael shouted, struggling uselessly. Correction, Mr. Michael, Mr. Thompson said in a flat, emotionless tone, glancing at the documents on his lap. This is not your house. And what you just attempted constitutes physical abuse in front of witnesses. We can add a charge under the Violence Against Women Act if you'd like. The guard roughly threw Michael's arm down, causing him to stumble back onto the sofa next to Jessica, who was now trembling with fear. Amelia stood her ground, watching Michael pant like a defanged dog. There was not a shred of fear on her face. You want to talk about respect, Michael? Amelia asked. She walked toward him, circling the coffee table, getting closer to where he was massaging his bruised wrist. This morning, when you and your mother were laughing while planning to sell my car and turn me into your maid, where was your respect? Where was your conscience? We were just joking, Rose said quickly, her elderly face pale and clammy. We were just joking, Amelia. You're so sensitive. With your own husband and mother-in-law, you're counting every word. Amelia let out a short, bitter laugh. Joking? Selling a property worth thousands of dollars is a joke to you? Swapping car documents for recipes, that was a joke, Mom. But your plan was a crime. Amelia, listen to me, Michael tried, lowering his voice, switching tactics from aggression to manipulation, his usual weapon. He looked at Amelia with pleading, sad eyes. I know you're angry, but we can talk about this calmly. Just ask your lawyer to leave. We're husband and wife, darling. Family problems shouldn't be made public. It's embarrassing. Amelia raised an eyebrow. You weren't embarrassed when you brought another woman into your wife's house? You weren't embarrassed to have your mistress eat and sleep here, using your wife's money? Amelia pointed at Jessica, who was trying to hide her face behind her bleached blonde hair. She's my coworker, Amelia. You're mistaken. Michael continued to deny, even as the truth was laid bare before him. A coworker you were planning to buy a new house with, using the money from the sale of my car. Amelia cut him off sharply. I heard everything, Michael. Every single word. All right, today we sell your wife's useless car. Remember that line, Jessica? That's what you said. Jessica flinched as her name was called. She stared at Amelia with wide eyes. She opened her mouth to defend herself, but no words came out. Now, answer my question. Amelia leaned closer to Michael, her gaze piercing. Who is the owner of this house, and who is just living here? Michael fell silent, his jaw tight. He didn't want to answer, because that answer would shatter his ego as a man. Answer me! Amelia suddenly shouted, startling Michael, Jessica, and Rose. You are, Michael whispered, the words barely audible. What? I can't hear you. You are, all right! Michael screamed in utter defeat. Yes, it's your house. Are you happy now that you've humiliated your own husband? Amelia stood up straight again, a satisfied smile on her face. Good. You finally know your place. So from now on, you will not shout or give orders in this house, because in here, I am the law. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat, bringing everyone's attention back to the legal documents spread on the table. He adjusted his glasses, ready to deliver the second blow, a financial one. All right, now that the ownership of the property is clear, let's move on to the more pressing matter of finances, Mr. Thompson said. Mr. Michael, for the 3 years of your marriage, you have consistently maintained that you are the one providing for this family. Is that correct? Michael straightened his back slightly, trying to gather the shredded remnants of his dignity. Of course. I work hard from morning till night. My entire salary goes into our joint account. Amelia just stays at home, relaxing. That's right, Rose added eagerly. My son is a manager. He earns a large salary, so he has the right to enjoy the fruits of his labor. Amelia is the parasite, eating off her husband's salary but being so cheap. Amelia just shook her head, looking at her mother-in-law with pity. Mom, do you really not know, or are you just willfully blind? You shut up, Rose shrieked. Mr. Thompson raised a hand, calling for silence. He picked up a sheaf of papers. It was a thick bank statement. This is a summary of transactions for your joint account over the last 36 months, Mr. Thompson explained, handing the papers to Michael. Please take a look. The entries in green are deposits, credits. The ones in red are withdrawals, debits. Michael snatched the papers, scanning the numbers quickly. Please note the source of the funds, Mr. Thompson guided. Every 15th and 30th of the month, there's a deposit of $1,750. That is your salary, Mr. Michael, correct? Michael was silent. That was indeed his take-home pay. Now, please look at the deposits made on the 5th of every month, Mr. Thompson continued. There is a deposit ranging from $6,000 to $10,000. The transaction detail reads, dividends from Reyes Realty Corp. And share from Paternal Rental Properties. Michael gasped. He saw those numbers, listed neatly every month. The amounts dwarfed his own salary. Reyes Realty Corp. is the company Amelia inherited from her father. She is the majority shareholder, Mr. Thompson calmly explained. So, if we total it up, over the last 3 years, Amelia's contribution to this account has been approximately 90%. Yours has been 10%. But, Michael stammered, scrambling for an explanation. He had never bothered to look at the transaction details, only at the bottom line balance, which was always substantial. He just assumed it was due to his brilliant money management skills. He forgot that his lavish lifestyle, the latest iPhone on a payment plan, the motorcycle modifications, the generous monthly allowance for his mother, treating his friends to drinks could never be supported by his meager salary. Now let's look at the expenses, Mr. Thompson said, turning the page. Michael's credit card bills, approximately $2,000 per month, transfers to Rose Davis, $600 per month. Online shopping charges under the name Jessica Miller, $400 per month. Entertainment and lifestyle, $1,500 per month. Rose's eyes widened. Wait a minute. So the monthly allowance Michael gives me is Amelia's money? Ma'am, Mr. Thompson said firmly, Michael's salary isn't even enough to cover the electricity and water bills for a house this size, let alone give you $600 a month. By simple math, Michael runs at a deficit every month. The person covering that deficit has always been Amelia. A deafening silence enveloped the room. That truth hit Rose harder than a physical slap. For years, she had boasted about Michael being a successful son, supporting a useless wife. Now, she learned that she and her son were the real parasites. She had been eating her daughter-in-law's money while insulting her. This can't be, Michael whispered, his hand holding the statement trembling. This is fake. Amelia can't have this much money. She's just a housewife. A housewife who inherited a business. Michael, Amelia said coldly. I kept quiet because I wanted to respect you as my husband. I let you feel like you were the provider, the head of the family. I propped up your ego with my money. And what did I get in return? You tried to sell the one remaining memory I have of my father. Amelia took out her phone, opened her banking app, and shoved the screen in Michael's face. Look at this, Michael. On the screen was the balance of Amelia's personal account, which she had just funded. The number had a lot of zeros, enough to buy Michael's dignity 10 times over. This morning, I transferred all of my money out of the joint account. Now, go ahead and check the balance of that account you're so proud of. Michael fumbled for his own phone in his pocket. He opened his banking app. The internet seemed to slow down, or perhaps time itself was slowing down for him. Login successful. Available balance, $64.50. $64.50. That's all that was left. Michael stared at his phone screen, speechless. His world had crumbled. His plans to renovate the house, his vacation with Jessica, his dream of buying a new car all vanished in an instant. My money, Michael whispered. Not your money, Amelia corrected him sharply. That's what's left of your salary that you haven't spent yet. Enjoy it. Michael's mourning over his lost account balance served as a stark warning to Jessica. The woman with blonde hair and thick makeup, which was beginning to melt in her sweat, finally understood her position. Jessica wasn't stupid, just an opportunist. She had attached herself to Michael because he had presented himself as a wealthy young executive unhappy in his marriage. He had promised her luxury, a house, a car, but now, in front of her, was a man with a minimum wage salary who was living off his wife's inheritance. A man whose bank balance wasn't even enough to buy one of her skincare sets. Jessica slowly began to rise from the sofa, her movements cautious, trying not to draw attention. Where do you think you're going? Amelia asked. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was enough to make Jessica freeze. Jessica turned, forcing a pained smile. Oh, Amelia? I just remembered. I have an urgent meeting at the office. My boss just called. I have to go now. I'm so sorry. I don't want to get involved in your family problems. Jessica grabbed her handbag, ready to flee the sinking ship. She no longer cared about Michael. To her, he was now worthless. Sit down, Amelia commanded. But, Amelia, I said, sit down. Amelia's voice boomed. One of Mr. Thompson's guards stepped forward, blocking Jessica's path. Jessica had no choice but to retreat and sit on the very edge of the sofa, as far away from Michael as possible. Did you think you could just waltz in here, insult me, conspire in a crime, eat and sleep for free, and then just leave the moment you find out he's broke? Amelia asked mockingly. I didn't know anything, Amelia. I swear. Jessica began to cry fake tears. Michael was the one who invited me. He told me he was a rich widower. He said you were a terrible person. I was tricked too, Amelia. I'm a victim too. Michael turned, shocked, to his lover. Jessica, what are you talking about? This morning, you were the one encouraging me to sell the car. You were the one who said Amelia was stupid. Shut up, Jessica hissed, her sweet mask gone. If I had known you were a pathetic freeloader, I would never have given you the time of day. Pretending to be a manager. You're nothing but a parasite. You're disgusting. Michael was stunned. His heart shattered. The woman he had worshipped, the woman for whom he had betrayed his loyal wife, was now turning on him the very instant he hit rock bottom. Amelia began to clap slowly. Clap, clap, clap. What a beautiful love story. Like Romeo and Juliet, but the broke, pathetic version, Amelia sneered. She picked up a thin folder from the table and tossed it into Jessica's lap. "What's this?" Jessica asked, her hands shaking. "Those are screenshots of your text messages with Michael for the past month," Amelia answered. "I gained access to his messages a while ago, around the time you two started your late-night chats." Jessica opened the folder. Her face went even paler. The pages were filled with their vulgar and incriminating conversations. "Jessica, when are you going to kick out that frumpy wife of yours? I can't wait to be the lady of the house." "Michael, just sell her car, babe. She doesn't know anything about the law. We'll take the money and run." "Clear evidence of malicious intent and conspiracy to commit fraud," Mr. Thompson added in a professional tone. "Miss Miller, you are not just a party to adultery, but an accomplice to a crime. The penalty is just as severe as for the primary offender." "Amelia, please." Jessica dropped to her knees on the floor, her pride gone in the face of losing her freedom. "Please don't report me to the police. I promise. I'll disappear. I'll block Michael's number. I'll never bother you again. Please, Amelia. I still have payments on my car." Amelia looked down at the woman groveling at her feet with disgust. "Get up. Don't dirty my floor with your fake tears." Jessica scrambled to her feet, snot running from her nose. "I won't report you. Today," Amelia said. "But on one condition. You will stay and watch Michael's downfall to the very end. You need to see just how pathetic the man you tried to steal is. After that, you can leave with your shame." Jessica nodded quickly, not daring to speak. She retreated to her corner, silent. Michael, meanwhile, watched her with heartbroken eyes. Now it was Rose's turn. The old woman realized her two allies were defeated. Michael was mentally and financially crippled. Jessica had surrendered. Now she had to face the daughter-in-law she had abused for so long, all by herself. Rose's tactic was always the same. If aggression doesn't work, play the victim card. She suddenly clutched her chest, her face contorting in a mask of pain. She began to gasp dramatically. Oh, my chest," Rose wailed, collapsing back into her chair. "I'm having a heart attack. Michael, help me. Amelia, you cruel girl. You're killing your own mother-in-law." Michael, already distraught, panicked at the sight of his mother. "Mom, what's happening? Hang on, Mom." He turned to Amelia, his eyes blazing with hatred. "Look, are you happy now? If my mom dies, you'll be her murderer." Mr. Thompson was about to stand up to call for medical help, but Amelia raised a hand, stopping him. She didn't move from her spot, watching the drama unfold with an expressionless face. "Michael," Amelia called out calmly, "your mother had a full checkup last week at a very reputable hospital. Her cholesterol is a little high, but her heart is perfectly healthy. Exceptionally healthy for someone who loves fried food and is always angry. Don't you play, doctor. My mom is in real pain." Amelia walked over to the sound system near the TV. She pressed the play button on a small voice recorder connected to the Bluetooth speaker. A voice from that morning filled the room, crisp and loud. It was Rose's voice. Recording, "Your wife is dumb as a box of rocks. Look at her. All she knows is how to bow her head, cook, do laundry, and clean. She doesn't know a thing about important documents. If she refuses to sign, I'll make her life a living hell until she can't take it anymore." Rose's evil cackle echoed through the room. Amelia stopped the recording. "The voice of someone having a heart attack is not that strong." "Mom," Amelia said coldly, "and a person who plans to make someone's life a living hell doesn't deserve pity when their own plan backfires." Rose, hearing the recording of her own voice, abruptly stopped groaning. The pain in her chest miraculously healed, replaced by a much greater sense of shame. She slowly sat up straight, realizing her act had failed. "Amelia." Rose changed her tone, making it soft and pleading, trying to appeal to Amelia's emotions. "I made a mistake, child. I'm an old woman. It's normal to misspeak. You are a kind and religious daughter-in-law. Surely you won't be so hard on me, will you? Aren't you afraid of getting bad karma for mistreating your mother-in-law?" "Karma," Amelia laughed bitterly, her eyes finally filling with tears not of sadness, but of the rage that had been building for 3 years of suffering. Mom, for 3 years, I woke up at 4 a.m. I cooked you your favorite oatmeal. I hand-washed your clothes because you said the washing machine ruined them. I massaged your feet every night. And every month, I sent $600 to your account through Michael. Amelia pointed at Rose's chest. And what did I get in return, Mom? You made fun of my appearance in front of the neighbors. You encouraged Michael to find a new wife. You called me barren, even though Michael was the one who didn't want to have children yet. Where was your conscience as a fellow woman? Rose bowed her head, unable to answer a single word, because everything was true. But I'm old, Amelia. I have no one else to depend on but Michael. If Michael has no money, what will I eat? Rose finally confessed her greatest fear: poverty. That is no longer my problem, Amelia answered firmly. You have your proud son, don't you? The successful manager. Ask him for food, not from a dumb wife like me. Rose began to cry, and this time, her tears were real. Tears of regret, because she had traded a gold mine for a worthless stone. The clock on the wall showed 1 p.m. The sun was scorching, as if to match the heat of the trial in the living room. All the cards were on the table. All the lies had been exposed. Now, it was time for the verdict. Amelia sat down again beside Mr. Thompson. She felt exhausted, but incredibly light. The burden she had carried for 3 years was finally gone. So, the conclusion is this, Mr. Thompson said, taking the stage to end the drama legally. My client, Mrs. Amelia, has substantial evidence for the following crimes: attempted fraud, conspiracy, and psychological violence under the Violence Against Women Act. We have recordings, witnesses, and text messages. Michael raised his head. He looked weary, his eyes red-rimmed. You want to send your own husband to jail, Amelia? That depends, Amelia answered shortly. Depends on what? It depends on how quickly you 3 get out of this house, Amelia said. She stood up, looking at the 3 people before her, one by one. I'm giving you 2 choices, very simple choices. Option A. Amelia held up one finger. Mr. Thompson and I call the police right now. The evidence is all here. You could be arrested this afternoon. Michael and Jessica will be charged with attempted fraud. Rose will be charged as an accomplice. You will sleep on the cold floor of a jail cell tonight. Michael, Rose, and Jessica all shook their heads in unison. Jail was a nightmare for people accustomed to a comfortable life. Option B. Amelia held up 2 fingers. You will leave this house right now, this very instant, with nothing but the clothes on your backs. What? Michael yelled. But my clothes, my laptop, my watch, those are my things. That laptop was purchased with my supplementary credit card last month, which hasn't been paid off. That watch was a gift from me last year. Everything was bought with my money. Amelia cut him off. According to the prenuptial agreement, items purchased by one spouse with their own funds remain their sole property. But my work clothes, Michael begged. Am I supposed to leave in just a t-shirt? You can take 1 small suitcase for the 2 of you, Amelia commanded, gesturing to him and his mother. Leave everything else. You have 10 minutes. If you exceed that time, option A will be enforced. Mr. Thompson looked at his watch. Your time starts now. They panicked. Michael ran to the bedroom. Rose, her legs trembling, also ran to her room. Jessica was lost, as she had nothing there but her handbag. You, Jessica, Amelia called out. You can leave now. Take your bag. And remember this. If I ever see your face around here again, the recording of your chats will find its way to your company's HR department. Jessica nodded quickly, her face ashen. Without a glance toward Michael's room, without a word of goodbye, she bolted out of the house, leaving Michael behind without a second thought. So much for true love. Meanwhile, noises came from the master bedroom. Michael was throwing clothes into a suitcase haphazardly. He wanted to grab his laptop, but remembered Amelia's threat and the sharp gaze of the guards at the bedroom door. He left it. He just took a few shirts, some underwear, and a toothbrush. Rose, in the guest room, was sobbing as she stuffed her house dresses into a large black trash bag because she didn't have a suitcase. It was a pathetic sight. 10 minutes passed. Michael and Rose stood in the living room. Michael with one small suitcase, Rose with a trash bag full of clothes. They looked like beggars being evicted from under a bridge. The house keys, car keys, motorcycle keys? Amelia demanded, holding out her hand. Reluctantly, Michael handed over the key ring, the keys he used to proudly dangle in front of his friends as a symbol of his success. Now, they were back with their rightful owner. Wallet, Amelia said. My wallet too? Michael protested. The supplementary credit card in your wallet is in my name. Give it back. Michael took out his leather wallet, removed the platinum credit card, and handed it over. Amelia took a pair of scissors from a desk drawer and cut the card in half, right in front of him. Snip! Now, get out, Amelia said, pointing to the open door. The afternoon sun streamed in. Outside, the harsh world awaited Michael and his mother. A world with no air conditioning, no Ford Explorer, no delicious, free meals. Michael looked at Amelia one last time. There was regret in his eyes, but it was overshadowed by the rage of a bruised ego. You'll regret this, Amelia. You can't survive without a man. Amelia smiled, a genuine, free smile. You're wrong, Michael. You were the burden in my life. It's only now that I'm truly beginning to live. Move it, one of Mr. Thompson's guards barked. Slowly, Michael and his mother walked out. Outside the gate, a few neighbors who had heard the commotion were starting to gather and whisper. Michael bowed his head, fighting back the shame. The guard closed the black iron gate. Blam! The sound of the metal marked the end of a chapter in Amelia's life as an abused wife. Inside the now quiet house, Amelia took a deep breath, inhaling the air of freedom, which smelled distinctly of victory. She turned to Mr. Thompson and smiled. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. You're welcome, my dear. Your father would be very proud of you today. The clang of the black iron gate hitting its post, blam, echoed like a death knell for the comfortable life of Michael and Rose. The sound of the lock turning from the inside confirmed that their path back to paradise was closed forever. Outside the gate, the midday sun was scorching, burning their skin. The asphalt of the suburban street radiated a heat that made the air shimmer. Michael stood like a statue, one hand gripping the handle of the small suitcase containing the last remnants of his old life, the other clenched into a fist at his side. Beads of sweat dripped from his temples, not just from the heat, but from the cold chill of humiliation. Rose stood beside him, clutching a large black trash bag, the kind usually used for kitchen garbage, which now held all her worldly possessions. Her house dresses, her headscarves, and the few undergarments she'd managed to grab. She looked pathetic, a far cry from the image of the wealthy matriarch she always projected at social gatherings. Is this just a bad dream, Michael? Rose whispered in a hoarse voice. She stared at the luxurious two-story house. Through the large living room window, she could vaguely see Amelia's silhouette, sitting comfortably as if nothing had happened. Did she really kick us out? Where are we going to sleep tonight? Michael didn't answer. His throat was tight. He looked down at his shoes, which were already getting dusty. Well, if it isn't Rose and Michael. The shrill voice made Michael want to disappear into the pavement. It was Mrs. Gable, the neighborhood's resident nosy neighbor. Mrs. Gable was watering the plants in her front yard, but her sharp eyes were fixed on their suitcase and trash bag. Why the luggage in the middle of the day? Going on vacation? How lovely. Where to? The Hamptons? Napa? Mrs. Gable asked, her tone dripping with mock sweetness. She had almost certainly heard the commotion earlier. Michael forced a smile, but it came out as a grimace. Ah, yes, Mrs. Gable. Just staying with some relatives for a bit. A family gathering. A family gathering? Mrs. Gable nodded, her eyes shifting to the trash bag Rose was clutching. But why are the clothes in a trash bag, Rose? Where's that expensive luggage set you were boasting about at the last block party? Rose's face turned a deep shade of red. She tightened her grip on the trash bag, trying to hide her shame. Oh, that. A relative borrowed it. Well, we have to go, Mrs. Gable. Our Uber is waiting at the main road. Another lie. There was no Uber. Michael couldn't even book one. His phone's data plan was nearly maxed out and he didn't want to waste it. Come on, Mom. Let's walk, Michael said brusquely, pulling his mother's arm away from the prying eyes. They walked down the hot sidewalk of the subdivision, the wheels of Michael's cheap suitcase rattling loudly on the paving blocks, a sound that matched their heavy steps. Every passing neighbor's car made Michael flinch, afraid of being recognized. They had only walked a few hundred yards when Rose started complaining. "Ouch, Michael. My feet hurt. It's so hot. Where are we even going? Just call a taxi. Why are we walking like beggars?" Michael stopped abruptly under a scraggly tree. He turned to his mother, his eyes red-rimmed. "Mom, do you think I have money for a taxi?" he yelled, unleashing his pent-up frustration. "I have $64 left, Mom. 64. That's enough for maybe 2 days of food if we're careful. A taxi is a luxury." Rose was shocked to be yelled at by her own son. "Why are you yelling at me? This is all your disobedient wife's fault. You should have fought her back there. You're a man, but you're so weak." "Weak?" Michael laughed hysterically. "Mom, you're the reason this happened. You were the one always pushing me to ask Amelia for money. You were the one demanding $600 a month when my salary couldn't even cover it. Now Amelia's mad, and we're the ones who are ruined." The mother and son argued on the side of the road, earning stares from a passing mailman, who just shook his head, probably thinking how quickly fortunes can change. Michael pulled out his phone, staring at the screen in desperation. He needed shelter. He needed help. His fingers trembled as he found a name in his contacts. "Jessica, my love." Michael pressed the call button. Ring. Ring. No answer. He tried again. "The number you have dialed is currently unavailable." Declined. Michael sent a text. "Jessica, where are you?" "I'm with my mom. We're on the street. We need a place to stay. I'm coming to your apartment. Okay?" One checkmark. Gray. A few seconds passed. Jessica's beautiful profile picture disappeared, replaced by a gray silhouette. Her status vanished. Michael's eyes widened. "She blocked me," he whispered in disbelief. "That witch. She blocked me." Michael threw his phone onto a patch of grass in frustration, then immediately picked it up, knowing he couldn't afford a new one. Jessica, the woman who just that morning was calling him babe, the woman with whom he had planned his future, had discarded him the moment he was broke. "Why isn't Jessica answering?" Rose asked mockingly. "I told you before, girls like that are only after money. You chose her over Amelia." "You supported me with Jessica too," Michael shot back. "Mom, you said Jessica was prettier, classier, better to take to parties than Amelia, who looked like a slob. Don't you dare try to wash your hands of this." "Because I thought you had a lot of money," Rose retorted. "If I had known you were poor, I would have told you to get on your knees and beg Amelia for forgiveness." They pointed fingers at each other on the side of the noisy road, the exhaust fumes from passing buses hitting their faces a stark contrast to the clean, cool air of the Ford Explorer they used to enjoy. Finally, exhausted and overheated, Michael flagged down a city bus. "Get on, Mom," Michael ordered. "The bus?" Rose's eyes widened in disgust. "It's hot, Michael. It smells like sweat. I don't want to. Just get an Uber." "I don't have the money, Mom. Don't you understand?" Michael practically pushed his mother onto the crowded bus. He had to put his suitcase on his lap because there was no space. Rose was squeezed between him and a man who smelled strongly of fish. For the entire 1-hour ride, Rose complained nonstop, covering her nose. Michael just stared silently out the window, watching the tall buildings and expensive cars go by, realizing he had fallen from the upper echelons of society. They got off in a crowded neighborhood, down a narrow, muddy side street. Michael remembered an old acquaintance who had cheap rooms for rent here. "We're living here?" Rose asked hysterically, as Michael stopped in front of a door made of peeling plywood. "It's the cheapest I could find, Mom. $100 a week. I paid for it with what was left on my debit card and borrowed a little from a friend," Michael answered wearily. They entered. The room was tiny, maybe 10 by 10 feet. There was no bed, just a plastic mat on the floor. There was a small, smelly bathroom with a dripping faucet. The ceiling fan rotated sluggishly, making a loud, grinding noise but barely moving the air. Rose threw her trash bag into a corner and began to sob loudly. "Oh, God, what did I do to deserve to live in a rat hole? That Amelia. What a wicked, wicked woman." Michael sat down, leaning against the damp wall. He covered his ears, his mother's crying, the noise of motorcycles from the street, the sound of a neighbor's karaoke. It all blended into an orchestra of his downfall. Amidst his despair, Michael's phone vibrated. It was an email notification from Thompson and Associates law firm. Subject: Notice of petition for annulment. Invitation to mediation. He opened it. It was an official petition for annulment. Amelia wasn't wasting any time. The attachment detailed her demands. An annulment with no division of assets due to the prenuptial agreement, and the repayment of $100,000, which was the estimated amount Michael had improperly spent during their marriage. $100,000. Michael felt faint. He didn't have that kind of money. He didn't even have money for dinner that night. A week later, Michael went to the courthouse wearing a wrinkled shirt. He went alone. He couldn't afford a lawyer. Amelia, on the other hand, arrived with her formidable legal team. She looked completely different. The transformation was stunning. She wore a crisp white blazer that fit her perfectly. Her hair was styled, her skin glowed with health. Gone were the old sweats and tired face. She radiated the aura of a successful woman. When the mediation began, Michael tried his last desperate act. He knelt before Amelia inside the mediation room, ignoring the mediator's stare. "Amelia, please, forgive me," Michael wept. This time, his tears were real, born of a primal fear of poverty. "I made a mistake. I promise. I'll change. I'll work hard. I'll be a good husband. Don't leave me, Amelia. My mom is sick in that horrible apartment." Amelia looked down at Michael, kneeling at her feet. Once, her heart might have softened. Once, she might have felt pity seeing her husband cry. But now, all she saw was a bad actor with a tired old script. "Get up, Michael," Amelia said, her voice devoid of emotion. "Don't embarrass yourself further. I love you, Amelia. I really, really love you." Amelia smiled sardonically. "You love my money, Michael, not me. The proof? When my money was gone, or when you thought it was gone, so was your love. You wanted to sell my car, didn't you? Jessica pushed me into it. It was her idea. Don't shift the blame. You were the one who signed fake receipts to get extra cash from the business account. You were the one who transferred household funds to your personal account. It was you, Michael." Mr. Thompson placed a thick document on the table. "Mr. Michael," he said, "my client is being very generous. Amelia has agreed to drop the potential criminal charges regarding the misappropriated funds. She does not wish to see her ex-husband rot in jail." A flicker of hope appeared on Michael's face. "Really? Thank you, Amelia. You're an angel. However," Mr. Thompson continued, "the condition is that you agree to an uncontested annulment. You will admit to all your wrongdoings, and you will not approach or contact Amelia ever again for the rest of your life. If you violate this one text, one call, we will immediately refile the criminal case, and we have more than enough evidence to put you away for a very long time." Michael swallowed hard. It was a difficult choice, but he had none. Prison, or a life of poverty, but free. "One more thing," Amelia added. "I know about your online gambling, Michael." Michael froze, his heart stopping. It was his darkest secret, the reason his salary was never enough, the reason he always needed Amelia's money. He was addicted to online slots. "You owe money to 3 different payday loan apps, don't you?" Amelia continued, laying his shame bare. "About $2,000 in total. And you listed my number as an emergency contact without my permission." Michael bowed his head, breaking into a cold sweat. "I've already changed my number," Amelia said. "So, starting tomorrow, they won't be bothering me anymore. They'll be looking for you, at your office, at your new apartment. Have fun, Michael." With a trembling hand, Michael signed the annulment agreement. That signature was the seal on his absolute defeat. He walked out of the courthouse with his shoulders slumped, carrying the weight of a world that was now so much heavier without the support of his wife's money. Karma didn't wait. It arrived on a loud motorcycle, driven by 2 rough-looking men in leather jackets. 2 days after the mediation, as Michael was brooding outside his apartment, he was startled by their arrival. "Hey, you, Michael? Pay up." They were collectors from the payday loan app. "Just a minute, boss." Michael trembled. "I'm trying to find a way. I just got fired from my job." Yes, Michael had been fired for using company property for personal matters and for his performance plummeting due to stress. Excuses. Pay now, or we take the bike. Please, no. It's all I have left, Michael pleaded. The bike was an old scooter he was buying in installments. A scuffle broke out. Neighbors came out to watch. Rose emerged from the room in an old house dress, screaming, "Help! Robbers! Help!" One of the collectors shoved Rose, who fell into a muddy ditch on the side of the road. "I'll be back tomorrow. If you don't have the money, I'm trashing this whole place." They left after spitting in Michael's direction. Michael was pulled from the ditch, his body filthy and stinking. He sat on the curb, crying like a child. Rose approached, not to help, but to beat his back with her fists. "You useless son! You're a disgrace! Why were you gambling, Michael? That $2,000 could have been a business investment. You wasted it on online slots." "Just shut up, Mom," Michael screamed, pushing his mother away. Rose stumbled and fell. This time, she didn't get up. Her face was pale, and she was sweating profusely. Her chest was in real pain. The accumulated stress, a diet of instant noodles, and the shock of the collector's visit had sent her blood pressure soaring. "Ow! Michael, my chest really hurts," Rose groaned, her voice weak. Michael turned, thinking his mother was just acting again, like she had at Amelia's house. "Oh, come on, Mom. Stop the drama. Amelia isn't here. No one's going to pity us." He left his mother groaning on the ground and went inside to clean up. He only realized she wasn't acting when, 10 minutes later, neighbors were banging on his door, telling him Rose had collapsed and the side of her mouth was drooping. A mild stroke. That night, in the crowded ward of a public hospital, Michael sat in a daze. He had no money for the medicines not covered by basic insurance. He was alone. No Jessica. No Amelia, who had always been there to handle the paperwork. No Ford Explorer to sleep in. He had to sleep on the hospital floor on a piece of cardboard, listening to the moans of other patients. When he closed his eyes, he remembered his old bedroom, the soft bed, the cool air conditioning, the fragrant sheets. He remembered how he used to scold Amelia because the sheets weren't fragrant enough. Now, he would give anything just to be able to sleep on the carpet in Amelia's living room. Regret washed over him like a tidal wave, drowning him. If only he had been grateful. If only he hadn't been so greedy. If only he had valued a loyal wife. But if only couldn't pay off payday loans. And it couldn't cure his mother's stroke. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, the morning sun illuminated the garden behind Amelia's house. The house itself had been transformed. The cream-colored living room walls that Michael had chosen were now painted a calming sage green. The black leather sofa where Michael used to prop his feet had been thrown out and replaced with a beautiful linen sectional. The toxic aura of the house was gone. The house could breathe now. Amelia was in the kitchen, her kingdom, which was now the center of her new business. It was no longer a kitchen where she was a slave, making coffee for her husband, but a professional kitchen where she was the executive chef, leading her team. "Amelia, the catering order for the convention center seminar is ready," said Sam, one of her new assistants. "Great, Sam. Double-check the garnishes, okay? Make sure the chicken presentation is perfect," Amelia replied with a smile, tasting her special mushroom sauce. After Michael left, Amelia decided to stop hiding her talents. She opened a premium catering business called Amelia's Kitchen. Using her own capital and her late father's connections, her business quickly grew. Her food was delicious, her presentation was beautiful, and most importantly, it was made with a happy heart. That afternoon, Mr. Thompson visited, bringing the official annulment papers. "Congratulations, Amelia. You are officially a free woman," Mr. Thompson said, handing her a green folder. "The judge approved all our requests. Your status as annulled is now legally binding." Amelia accepted the folder, stroking its cover. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. It feels so light. Like I can finally breathe again after 3 years. By the way, there's a bit of news about them," Mr. Thompson said carefully, not wanting to spoil Amelia's good mood. "Oh? Are they causing trouble again?" Amelia asked. "No, they wouldn't dare. I heard from an informant that Michael is now working as a parking attendant at a public market. His mother had a mild stroke and is now bedridden in their rental. The neighbors often hear them fighting, blaming each other every night. Amelia was silent upon hearing the news. She felt a flicker of pity, but quickly dismissed it. That was the result of their own choices. She didn't wish them harm, but she also had no obligation to help the people who had tried to destroy her. "I hope it's a lesson for them, attorney," Amelia said calmly. "The prayers of an abused wife are powerful." Indeed, they are. That evening, Amelia sat on her patio, sipping chamomile tea and eating a warm croissant. She looked at her white Ford Explorer, freshly washed and gleaming. She remembered the moment Michael and the others had laughed about their plan to sell it. "Make her the maid," they had said. Now, Michael was a slave to his own bad fortune. Amelia took a sip of the warm, calming tea. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from a group chat with her old friends, the ones Michael had forbidden her from seeing. "Girls' trip to Napa Valley this weekend? Let's celebrate your freedom. I'll book the villa. We're just waiting on you." Amelia typed a reply with a wide smile on her face. "Amelia, I'm in, and I'm bringing the best food in the world for all of you. Let's do this." A gentle breeze blew across Amelia's face, lifting her fragrant hair. She closed her eyes, savoring the gratitude that filled her heart. No more fear, no more shouting, no more betrayal. This was the beginning of her new life. The sun was rising, and its light was beautiful.